Welcome back, Hot Nerd Network family. Today we are discussing Power Book 2, Season 4, Episode 3. I'm your host, Hot Nerd D, and today we have the lovely Hot Nerd Viv joining us. Say hi, Viv.
Hey.
Yes, so excited to talk to you today about Episode 3. But before we dive in, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay updated with all things Hot Nerd Network. But yes, let's get to it, starting first with the episode recap. So, this episode starts out with Tariq and Brayden having to sell their cars for money to restart their business. Monet is at a dead end by not being able to locate Kate Egan to confront her for getting shot. She gets suspicious, though, that it is Diana based on her body language and different things that happened in the past to kind of give her a little bit more information. So she starts out with the episode a little bit suspicious, but we do see by the end that her suspicions do get confirmed. Davis is connecting Tariq with a new connect named Zion. Tariq, though, makes a plan to convince Noma that she has competition with Zion in order to take out one of Zion's main distributors, Roman, in order to come in and take his spot. Drew is making plans to move up in the ranks with Noma and uses Obi's arrest as leverage to convince her that he deserves a higher position. However, Kane is also gaining a connection with Noma to make him her second. And not only though is Kane and Drew trying to elevate in Noma's ranks, so is Davis. So I actually wonder who will end up on top. This episode ends though with Tariq and Brayden landing on a plan to begin restarting their business using campus parties. And we do have another infamous dinner scene where, again, Monet does find out and is able to confirm that Diana was the one posing as her to address Kate Egan because they get a video sent to them. Um, and yeah, so now we know that Diana was behind, or one of the masterminds, because we also know Drew was behind that too, in order to try to have Monet killed. So I will pause there. What was your favorite part of this episode, or what stood out to you?
I guess to me that was the most action packed part, but I feel like it should have been more drawn out because
Mm-hmm.
his character and Noma's character were supposed to have been working together for a really, really long time. I just wish they would have developed the character relationship in a more demonstrative way instead of, just having her shoot him and him be like a pawn for Tariq or whatever. I don't know. I feel like it could have been more to it because the season, I don't know. I feel like they killed the guy in the parking garage after they talked so much about. I thought his character was going to be more significant because he was related
Mm-hmm.
to um Angela Angela Valdez's aunt or
Yeah.
sister or whatever. I don't know. They're just killing people off so fast that it's I don't even have time to understand what this character is supposed to be here for. It's just boom, they're gone. And it's like they put them in the plot to die instead they're using character deaths to move the plot along instead of
Mm,
developing characters, I guess. I don't know.
Gotcha. I think a part of that is possibly too because this is the last season for this show, so trying to, I think, pinpoint a lot of other story or a lot of other storylines, um, versus like kind of extrapolating a little bit too much on like characters and things that we don't necessarily have too much of a connection to. Like you mentioned, Agent Young being Angela Valdez's nephew, or even Obi and his connection with Noma, honestly too, because I think Noma is also to a fairly newer character as well to the Power universe in totality. So I think a part of that, at least from my lens, is like them trying to, I think, focus more on her and making sure her storyline's a little bit more developed versus kind of like those auxiliary characters that kind of like added to. I did think it was interesting that how big I think he was, or how crucial he was to last season, and how basically he's the reason why Tariq and Brayden are still alive. So
Yeah.
I do think, that was kind of like the pinnacle of his character. Like that is like, his greatest importance, which is in turn making sure you help Tariq and Bray, mainly Tariq in some way, form, or fashion. But I do agree. In terms of like maybe there could have been a little bit more to his character, a little bit more storyline, just so we could get a little bit like more in depth for what, like his background and how he kind of like how important he is to Noma, because again, we, like you said, like they have been working together for years. However, we see like how that relationship really just got kind of cut short as a matter of, one instance. Like of course betrayal in the whole power universe doesn't ever go over very lightly. So, but at
It
the same
was
time, like you said, history could have, played a bigger part too.
Yeah, like it was anticlimactic. It wasn't like, I wanted to see her like sneaking around, like catch him in the act and like beat up his brother and get the brother to confess or like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
cut off his finger, like just do it more. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like his death was so quick. The guy,
Like that could have been a interesting lens to see, like, if she did use his brother as leverage, or like where they could have taken that. But then again, it's like, how far can we really stretch Obi's character, because he was very much, someone who was second in command to her. And as we can see now, like especially with Kane, Drew, and even Davis, randomly, like,
right?
wanting that spot so bad. And so it kind of just made sense that one day, like, he was gonna have to go. um but it would have been interesting, like you said, to kind of see him fight for it a little bit more, have the opportunity. It
Oh
was my more
yeah.
so like they found out you're done. And there isn't much more else to that. So what do you think in terms of Tariq and Brayden being able to kind of restart their business on campus using parties?
I'm so over them. Like so they're just so determined to like sell drugs, and it's just, I don't know, it's not looking like it's for them. Like I get it, but the parties just, I don't know. I feel like this how you know I turned 30, because the shit look whack as hell to me. Just what are y'all doing? I don't know, girl.
Right.
I just
Like
felt like
drugs at
such
the
an
end.
auntie looking at them. It was just like, oh my god, y'all go in the house. Ah, like no, like mm-mm. But I think the idea, like, how are you money laundering? I don't know. How are you trying to launder money through a band that doesn't make any money? That just,
I think for them, it's more for promotional purposes. Like now people are going to know their name, and now people are going to know who they are. And so that is, their angle, I think, in that perspective. Um, but again, I think that this is, like you said, like this is like speaking to our generation, or, even slightly younger than us, because we are out of college, but just kind of creating that angle where, you know, drugs and things are being, utilized and sold and used like in all different sorts of circumstances and all different sorts of sceneries. And so, it is interesting to see them kind of take a more kind of like current approach to how we see like like people actually getting drugs and how they're actually like accessing them.
like, I get it, but I feel like the way they talk, they're trying to like move real weight. So it's like you can't be moving real weight if the money launderer is like an independent band that doesn't like make any money. It's just t-shirts. Like I don't know. I feel like maybe they should have money laundered through like an Amazon FBA business, or like, I don't know, drop shipping some like whack ass items or something. I don't know. Something where like you could sell a lot of volume and then it wouldn't look like, okay, what the fuck? Like I've never heard of this band. How are they doing? What do you mean they sold 1,000,000 t-shirts? Like that's crazy.
That is interesting perspective. I mean, I think they need this to kind of jumpstart whatever they need for the plan to kind of continue to evolve. So you got to give them credit. They got to start somewhere. Viv. Dang, like
Yeah,
they keep getting their business taken from them, and then ended up almost died for it. So it's like they got to start, at least with what makes sense, because this is also very much mirroring like course correct all their other different avenues that they've done. So it's almost like they got to go back to what's familiar to them,
right,
which I also think is interesting, talking about familiarity because of Zion's reference to Ghost when they first meet, because I think it's just continuing to introduce that idea of like, is Tariq really turning into his father, or is he going to try to do something different, or is there a different avenue that he's going to take? Because Zion specifically mentions like, like you're coming to me basically with a half plan. Your father and Crazy Tommy would literally never do this. So, it kind of just creates that like, okay, like now we have to start paying attention a little bit more. Like, are you going to end up being Ghost, or are you going to, be Tariq? And what does that actually mean, or what does that actually look like? So, what are your thoughts, kind of like there?
I feel like they've been trying to flesh out who they are for 4 seasons now, and it's just like if they weren't Ghost and Tommy, we would know that by now, you know?
Mm,
Especially like now that they're running into somebody who knew Ghost and Tommy. I guess it's them stepping into their destiny in a way,
okay.
which I think that's a good note to end the show on. Like that makes sense. I just am looking forward to seeing it further developed in the second half of the season.
I think so too. Like, I definitely think, like that was like our, I mean, of course, we've gotten a lot of, like Easter eggs and like hints as to his behavior, like the way they dress, the what they're doing, how they're even approaching some of their strategies and different schemes. Uh, but like you said, like it would be great to kind of end off in that kind of like evolution of like, okay, from start to finish, we see exactly how you turned into your dad. But I wonder if they are going to take a different angle, and try to create Tariq to be his own man or his own character, and like where the differences will actually lie. Because again, like we're seeing a lot of the similarities, but if he isn't going to turn right into his father, like where will those differences lie? So that would be really interesting to see. So we already kind of talked about our hot topic question for the day, but I wanted to kind of go back, in terms of because Noma again is our big adversary for this season. Who do you think ultimately will come out on top, working with Noma in terms of being like second in command? Do you one think it's going to be Davis, because of his charm and his wit that kind of coincides and works well with her? Will it be Drew, who is charming but strategic, who actually, can think very futuristic and can have a lot of plans? Or will it be Kane, who is charming and loyal, who, will stick by her and, basically do whatever and whatever she asks for? So what are your thoughts there?
I think it'll probably be Kane, just because I don't see Noma trusting anybody else's. Like, she
Mm,
doesn't seem like somebody who would want like an intellectual threat around, and I feel like that's why her and Tariq didn't get off on the right foot.
okay. Okay, so Kane, I like that. I do. I agree, because I definitely think that out of all of these three, Kane, at least from her perspective, poses the least amount of threat. Um, to her and to her position as well, because even though they're like fighting to be number two, ultimately they all probably want to also be number one or be in control overall, just so that there isn't someone kind of dictating their moves and different things like that. So I agree, I do think it will be Kane, but I mean, Davis he's making his way. He's trying to weasel his way in. So I think out of all three, it'll be like between Kane and Davis. Drew, honestly, I wish he would just kind of focus more on himself and to, pursue
Yeah.
his own dreams, because he has his
Yes.
own goals
Don't you
out
just let him go
here.
draw something?
Right. So it's like, Drew, you have other things going for you. So maybe this isn't the best spot for you, but Kane and Davis, they're gonna battle it out. And again, they all possess a certain level of charm, but again, it's like what is going to be more attractive and, like you said, less of a threat to Noma in the end. So okay, I am excited to see how that all turns out and how that ends up. But that will be a wrap for this week's recap. So thank you again, Vid, for joining us.
Thank you
Always
for
a pleasure
having
to
me.
have you. And from here, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to join the conversation to stay updated with all things Hot Nerd Network. And remember to stay tuned for the next recap for Power Book 2 Ghosts. Can't wait to see where the story takes us. But stay nerdy until then, folks.